Hello, universe. How is everyone today? Wow. There's something that's just been sticking with my brain the last day, and it's my tremendous concern about what's happening in the United States with gun control. And now, mind you, I'm not someone who wants to own a gun, who wants to possess a gun, but I believe that we should have the right to possess a gun. I don't own guns. I mean, you might find it odd that I'm someone who believes we have the right to bear arms when I don't even want to have a gun around. The issue, though, is it's not really as much about the guns part of it. Well, there's two aspects of it for me, and I just really want to express this out and put it out there. And I would love to hear your feedback or just see a conversation start or evolve more in the world about this issue, because the government pretty much feels like they have the run of it. A situation goes wrong like this. It's like overreacting to a situation. Now, I know the situation, there was a lot of tragedy that's happened as a result of these issues with people messing around with guns. But once again, keep in mind, this is a very finite group of people in among gun owners. This is a finite group of people. This is not the majority. This is the minority, and a very small minority of people who are doing this. And other gun owners, firearm owners are being punished for it, when really it comes down to an issue of there might need to be better psychological evaluations for those kinds of weapons, okay? Though the truth is that if you're a mother who has an unstable child that you know is mentally unstable, you have a responsibility to keep a gun away from him in the house if you know he's got a mental problem. You need to lock it away. You don't make it easy, and then everybody else has to suffer because you decided, well, he wouldn't do something like that. If there's an instability, there's an instability in people. You can tell. You can tell one way or another if there's something unstable. If they're drawing things that are violent, if they're, doing things like this that are just terribly violent and they're talking about it, or they seem homicidal, or they seem angry and reserved and disturbing, there's signs of things that show you when someone's got an issue. The guy who shot up the theater, he actually had gone to his counselor and said stuff, and it had been overlooked by, I don't know if it was the counselor or the administration, but it was just, like that. It was thrown aside. This is not a gun owner issue, though. This is an issue about, and we're reacting right now. This is an issue, though, about psychological standpoint of a minority, a finite group of people who had access to these weapons, and it wasn't even their weapons, okay? So we shouldn't be blaming, in situations like this, when this guy, for example, in New Jersey, who shot up, the school, it wasn't even his weapon. It belonged to his mother, who should have locked it up and kept it away from him, knowing that she had problems with him in the first place. That would have just been good. Or remove the guns from her house, or keep a knife under her bed, or whatever to protect herself. We've been going after the media, or a lot of people have been going after the media. The NRA is trying to defend against people losing rights. The media is trying to represent itself and show. There's been violence in movies for decades. Look back at the gangster movies in the 60s and the 70s. They were blowing people away. We didn't worry about it then. What's happening is we're in a panic mode right now. And when you're in a panic mode, government has the ability to sway opinion and say, listen, this is for your own good. We're doing this for you. You know what? The government doesn't have any right to do it for your own good. This is exactly what ultimately ended up happening in England, why those people who settled the United States broke away from England, because it was becoming an incredible dictatorship in Britain. They were trying to get away from the Puritans. Or is that right? I think it was the Puritans. Historically, you know the trend. I'm not necessarily, up on history in that way. We escaped from what was becoming an evolving dictatorship, or our founders escaped from it. I didn't escape from it. It's like racism, or slavery. Black people nowadays weren't in slavery. Okay, they are the descendants of people who did suffer through it, and the people who suffered through slavery did not deserve it. That was horrible. Us worrying about slavery right now and saying, "Oh, well, you're this and you're that racial wise," it's like blaming a white person for being for being the descendant of a slave owner is kind of ridiculous to me. Like, why is that? Well, what did I do? I didn't do anything to you, and you didn't have it done to you. When you're getting whipped with the things these people were getting whipped with, that's different. And by the way, there were white slaves. I don't know if anybody's aware of that. There were white slaves in South Africa. There were white slaves. So why aren't we worrying about that? So there's just so much convolution, but I'm going to try to stay on topic because I can go off on political things for a while. Because I'm really concerned. I'm really, really concerned that during this time of panic, the government has that ability to sway people easily and to pass laws that ultimately you're not going to be able to overturn. You're not going to be able to overturn. So if you support these laws in transition right now, remember, it's going to be very, very difficult to go back. And dictatorships don't happen overnight. They evolve until a point where you have no ability to stop a dictatorship. And the right to bear arms is one of those methods of which, and any kind of weapon, if you are equipped to do it, that is the ability to stop a dictatorship from really going, really taking over. Just that kind of an abuse of power. And really, like I said, we had movies in the 1960s that had, tremendous violence in it, and shoot 'em up and gangster movies. We didn't worry about this then. It's because the media is publicizing it more, because there is lobbyists or representatives in government who want to get behind it. And here's the thing. It's not just going to stop with the guns. Because what's going to happen is they're going to start with guns, and then what's going to happen is it's going to spread into media. And the government is going to start controlling media more and saying, well, you can't do this and you can't do that. And then creativity is controlled by media. And it's just one little step at a time. Eventually they're going to say, don't make movies about stalkers. Don't make movies about this. Don't make movies about that. Display it this way. Display it this way. That's where freedom starts to disappear. Don't let angst and panic over what really are isolated incidents start to slowly de-evolve your freedom, our freedom as a society. It's very, very dangerous, and it's very, very scary. Canada has been getting by fine. They don't have major gun control laws like we have here. They've been getting by fine because they're more social, they're more community-minded. We're moving out of socialism, and we're moving into a whole other area. We're not in democracy anymore, okay? We're capitalists, and capitalists want to control. We're not in a socialistic, sort of a structured environment. I think I said we were before. What I mean is we're not in that situation. We're not in not in an equal ground type situation. We have capitalists. People control the money, and so they control the laws. And ultimately, they want to control you and me. So, keep that in mind. Please, I implore you, don't let your panic and fear of isolated incidents that are very isolated. We're talking about one city out of thousands of cities in the United States. One person out of millions of gun owners start to de-evolve our freedom. It's our world. It's our country. We should not let fear and this bizarre sort of statement that our morality is changing, or we have more morality issues and violence. We should not let that be controlled by our government. They are there to take care of our country based on our voting them in. Really think about who you're voting for, and think about what their ultimate goals are. They aren't working 9 to 5 jobs like you and I. They aren't. They're not working that. These guys have a lot of money, and they have access to things you and I don't have access to every day, whether it's legal or not. Don't let them start taking your rights more and more away. We need to stand up against the government and tell them you're not going to take our rights to bear arms, our right to protect ourselves from people who try to hurt us and people who try to control us. Just remember that. Remember, freedom disappears a little bit at a time. It doesn't happen overnight. One day you look up and you're like, wow, I can't even do that anymore. This world is ours. Go out and enjoy it. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to comment below. Share. Start a conversation with someone about it. Let's get the word out. Remember, don't let panic control you. Let excitement and happiness be your guide. Take care of yourself. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.